Footy's back. Ba-da, ba-ba, ba-da-da, ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah, that's right. Welcome to Footy Unfilterated. I am your host, James Clements, and with me on this, screen over here that you might be seeing or just hearing, it is our main man in Amsterdam, or at least, Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's everyone's favourite Essendon fan because that's a very low bar to clear. It's Jez. Jez, what's going on?
Mate, I just want to get in really early and congratulate you and your Carlton Football Club on winning the flag in February after beating Geelong last week. The greatest team ever to play the game. Going to win the flag undefeated. Harry Mackay's going to kick 150. Cripps at Brownlow. I just want to congratulate you now. And then the rest of us are playing for second. So, yeah. Good job, mate. Really good. Good start.
I very much like that you've already jumped in there and jinxed everything before I could. So very.
Oh no, it was top of my list. I'm getting in first. So
just wait till I start in on Sydney. I'll tell you what. But I mean, in terms of the Essendon fanning at the moment, the low bar to clear. Scott Gumbleton might be the biggest Essendon fan right now. He's just everywhere and. What a world. Anyway, footy is back this week, which is awesome. So we're going to do some predicting. Or, considering this is Footy Unfilterated, maybe we'll do some predictorating.
I think it'd be rude not to.
So what are we going to do on this one? We're going to do over-under predictions for the season ahead. We'll do some awards. What's that? Brownlow, Coleman, Rising Star, and our premiers. Oh, geez. All that fun stuff. But also... it literally starts this week, Ches.
Mate, cricket season literally finished yesterday in our house.
Pub cricket. What are we doing?
And then I was like, oh, shit, I better watch some footy. So I've been watching footy all day today, checking out the pre-season Community Cup, only watching the minis. And, it's typical pre-season, not much to really report back on.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's preview some games for week 0. Let's dig in. It's footy without the bull. It's Footy Unfilterated. Let's go. All right, Jez. We don't have any ads to start off this show. This is episode 1 of Footy Unfilterated, so we don't have anything prepared.
Ad-free.
It is ad-free. This is all coming to you. We're the opposite of KO, right? We're not going to raise our prices.
From 0 to 0.
How excited are you on scale 1 to 10 of footy being back this week? It feels like it's just early. The NRL's over in Vegas. The AFL, I think, always misses a trick by not doing the NFL thing by playing a grand final replay week 0. But here we are. I don't know. By the time you sort of get to this point of preseason, everybody and their dog has released their top 50 players, and it's all ridiculous. My top 50 players is basically just listing out 25 Carlton players and then the other one. I don't know. How are you feeling? Are you excited about this season? Because it feels like, as I've seen the last sort of 3-4 years, it's everything is very, very flat and very, very, you talk about parity in other big sports, and the AFL has been very, very, very crummy bottom 3 teams for the last few years, and everything else is kind of any given Sunday you can beat each other, right? So
it really is. I'm actually pretty pumped. I think it's going to be another even season after doing our predictions and going through all the over and unders. I'm there's actually about 12 teams, I think, who could legitimately finish anywhere from top to 12th. I think it does drop away a bit, but that's just, it is what it is. But honestly, I'm really excited to see how some of these teams like your mob, who have already won the flag, but they've got some, haven't done much as far as recruiting. They've lost a couple. Be interesting to see how things pan out in the forward line. Now you've only got the one big tall, and even with somewhere like St Kilda, who have gone all out and got TDK and the better Silvani and all that sort of stuff. Just see how that works. Whether that's either going to work or it's just going to be a horrible bin fire. So I'm really keen to see all those little side things going. So,
well, I think. The cool thing about this, every year, is that I think last year doing the season preview stuff, you just as you said, right, there's these 12 teams where you're they could finish anywhere and it wouldn't surprise me really that much. And I think going into last year, I had much the same sort of vibe where it's like, who knows what's going to happen with like Port? Who knows what's going to happen with Blues? Like they could finish first or they could finish 12th. And turns out it was 12th. But still, like you just basically come into this season going, I don't know, this should be fun. And that's kind of my entire vibe going into this. I'm like, you know what I can't wait to do? Sit there with a tin on Thursday and watch the footy.
Absolutely.
I just can't wait. I just want to sit on my couch, watch the footy. Did anything stand out to you from pre-season apart from the Blues winning the flag already?
Yeah, well, that was a big one. I'll tell you what, really, and obviously we've had cricket, big cricket household here, and the World Cup and all the Test match and all that crap going on with cricket. One thing that really sort of that stuck out with me and my group that are big footy fans was State of Origin. It was back. We all went out to the pub, had a meal, watched the game, and it was a good game. I was not sure what I was going to see. I thought, oh, this could be a bit of, like basically touch footy. And then after the first 15 minutes, I was like, no, this is on. These boys want to win this. So it really stood out to me. And I think a big part of it is the WA versus Vic. Nobody gives two shits about the Allies. That's shits and giggles footy. We need to see Vic, WA, SA. Look, even if Tassie, you've got to have a team that's got 15 blokes who have never played AFL, it's about the jumper and, there's a little bit more pride in it. And I think that's what made it this year. And I really liked it and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was like I think because it hit around the same time as the NBA All-Star game, right? And so you're kind of almost expecting a similar kind of vibe of like, let's sort of just not really try too much. And like, we're all not wanting to get hurt. And then it's like the competitive spirit just kicked in at some point. They all just went hammer and tongs, and it was awesome.
Well, there's a big hit early, I think, on Jacob Wiedering, and it was just a footy accident. But you knew the way they all went for that ball and how he came off. You just went, hang on, these boys they're here to play. They're not just mucking around. So
yeah,
it was really good.
I like since I was a kid, I hate preseason. I just hate it because as a kid, I really loved it, and every year you'd get your hopes up and then they just get dashed really, really quickly and expertly. Like give me back the Foster's Cup, the Wizard Cup or AFLX. I don't know. Like just maybe not AFLX. That wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know about footy on a rectangle field. I think there's plenty of sports that have got that covered. But I think some sort of pre-season competition, whether it's an amalgamation of a state carnival or but change it every year. Don't do what the NBA have done with the All-Star and just tear the guts out of it.
You're right.
But just change it up. There's no, at the end of the day, the clubs, the thing that gets me is all the carry on about the match sim. Oh, look, Ben Mackay had 18 marks and 15 disposals in match sim. He was playing on Essendon's forward line. I could have 18 disposals against them. And I'm fat and old.
I love
just
the match
over analysis. It does your head in.
It's amazing because it's like people were absolutely frothing about dudes who will be like the 30th guy on the list, and it's like it's not going to play until like round 16, man. Just everybody
crazy.
Anyway, look, it was pretty awesome. Like in terms of my preseason thing, it's like State of Origin rocked, and then I sort of sat and watched some of that Carlton Geelong game. I could actually hear the siren going off from the house because they're just down at Icon Park, and I'm like, this is kind of neat.
Sick.
Wow, we look awesome. And then I'm like, yep, settle down. It's going to be, no.
Mate, lid's off. The flag, they're unfurling the flag round one.
Yeah, the lid always stays firmly on.
Hey, I don't think our lid's been off for about 15 years, so it's all good.
I like it.
It was put back on very, very quickly by Stephen Dank and the weapon.
Well, that's it. I think what we're going to do here on Footy Unfilterated is sort of go through any sort of news that you kind of, that we sort of think you need to know anything about, and set you up each week for every game, wrap up some stuff. That's what we're going to do. And these season preview sort of stuff, we'll just do the over-unders for all these teams. But like the news this week has been pretty funny because, as I said at the top, like Scott Gumbleton coming out and going, yeah, Job should have that Brownlow. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, maybe they should give the Brownlows back, Sam Mitchell and Trent Cotchin. And it's like, are we really letting Scott Gumbleton set the agenda here? Job Watson's best mate? Oh, really? You're trying to tell me that Scott Gumbleton thinks that Job Watson should get his Brownlow back? I, for one, am shocked.
As soon as I saw the Essendon diaries, the lost years, I'm thinking, oh, why? What? Why? No, stop. We all know that it was a shit show of epic proportions. Why drag it up again? Just to like, just kick me again while I'm down. Like, Jesus. I actually haven't read it on purpose because I'm like, it's not going to serve me anything other than I'm probably going to get angry and really start to hate football again. So let's not go back there. I nearly became a rugby league fan. That could not happen.
Woof. Having been to like an NRL game, it's not quite the same experience as going to so just saying. Hey, let's do some 2026 over unders. So we got the win totals essentially for all of these teams, right? Which is always very exciting because it's like the way that I go into each footy season, essentially just going, do I agree with these numbers? And usually it's like, ooh, that's pretty spot on. That's not a surprise. That's how, bookies make their money, by being bang on with this sort of stuff. And I think I always love going through, was it Squiggle footy?
Yeah.
And going through and like doing every single game for the entire season and seeing where my ladder rolls out. And I was stunned by how close it was to some of these over-unders of like where I ended up. But then there was a couple of big ones. And like, as you filled in yours as well, I'm like, oh, we are only differing in opinion on like a couple of these teams, which I don't know, it sort of told me a little bit about the season ahead, right?
I think there was one that we majorly got different, which we'll obviously get to. But yeah, same thing. Actually, there's a couple that we got different, but it is such a, even now it's an even season, and as much as the team that we've sort of picked up the top end could still end up around the middle to the bottom of the ladder if one or two things don't go their way. So it is really that's exciting, Jim. It's really exciting.
All right, let's start with Adelaide. Give us the Crom. Their over-under is 14.5 wins. I went over at 17-6 for the season for the simple fact that, they turned Adelaide Oval into an absolute fortress. They look awesome. Jordan Dawson seemed to have, picked up a bit of a knock today, I think, wasn't it? Today? Yesterday?
I think it was, yeah.
So it's a bit of a worry, but otherwise, it just feels like they're still really loaded for bear. They were so good last year. It's really hard for me to sort of go, well, they're going to go under 14 wins. So I've gone the over 17-6, and so have you, Jez.
I have. I think I think last year was a bit of a surprise to everyone. And I think this year they're going to double down, and I think they're going to be pretty bloody good. So
yeah,
I haven't picked up a lot other than Calamachi, which is going to be a big in for them. So, but other than that, they've got pretty much the same list. Haven't lost anyone of note. So, yeah, I think they're going to be hard to beat.
It's also the idea of having Rankin back and him playing when it matters is seemingly pretty important. So
he can tear a game apart, can't he? Him and even Riley Thilthorpe, the big man. Oh, I can't wait to watch him just tear someone apart.
Probably one of my favorite players to watch. And again, preseason, the hype is real. It's, they've been playing him as a midfielder. It's like, all right.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see that when it actually happens. When it's like when Buddy or Lance Franklin. Oh, let's play him as a midfielder. It's like, let's see how long that lasts. But Adelaide, I think, are awesome. I think they're very, 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 very I think the craziest part about them, Sleevo goes out with a heart murmur or whatever it was, irregular heartbeat. He was really under the radar awesome for them last year. And so it probably gives me a little bit of pause, but I think even tagging them with 6 losses, I sort of going through this exercise of going through the entire season. It was hard to find those losses.
Yeah.
Because at home, they're just awesome. They just, having gone to the last couple of gather rounds, watch them play at home in front of that crowd, you're like, Jesus, this is terrifying. So, I don't know. It's hard to sort of imagine them really dropping off. But you can sort of see, and this will go for every team, I reckon. If one or two things sort of just go a little bit sideways, yes, you can sort of see them sort of scrapping around and maybe the blowtorch on Matthew Nicks gets really, really hot again, and suddenly he's just out on a limb and just gone. But otherwise, it feels like they're pretty bloody good.
I think they probably snuck a few wins early last year before everyone else realised they were good. So I think there's going to be teams coming for them this year with a plan. I think they're good enough to deal with that. But if they don't, they could easily be a totally different kettle of fish. So, yeah.
There you go. Both over for Adelaide. Brisbane, your reigning 2-time AFL premiers. Only 15.5 is their over-under, which feels, for a team that added Oscar Allen, Sam Draper, who else was it? Someone else.
I think that was it, of note. I don't think they picked
Still,
anyone else up, but yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. I have them going 18-5. There are still some sneaky ones where I feel like the sheer domination vibes. This could go a little bit squirrely if the Lockie Neal thing just goes completely squirrely.
Yeah.
And we have seen that happen, but also we've seen, I don't know, Brisbane carry like a Jason Ackermanis to a,
That's true. This is true.
So it feels like they are probably still the best team in the comp. They're so deep. They're so talented. They, as you said, like Archie leaves and they sort of lose a couple of dudes here and there, but the fact that they just snag West Coast captain as like another big talk to replace Joe Danaher, which they not really
didn't even miss last year. So.
They still won the flag again, right? So I don't know. I think they are legitimately terrifying. The Lions look awesome. I'm going to talk about them again a bit later. 18-5, and what have you got them at, Jess?
I've got them at 19-4. Again, going through that, I just couldn't find games they would lose, and I'm probably going off the way they dismantled Geelong in that grand final because that was just clinical, and that's 2 grand finals in a row they've done that, so they know when to get right. And like you said, bringing in Sam Draper and Oscar Allen, and going out is Callum Archie and Brandon Starcevic. Of note, Starcevic was touch and go to continue his career based on concussions. So they've upgraded from him to an Oscar Allen and Archie to a Sam Draper who can fill, Big O's retired. Joe Danaher's gone. They can, they could use Eric. They've got Eric Hipwood as they don't need him. What are they? They've got surplus in it. They've got Tom Duday who hasn't played for 2 years, but was almost all Australian defender at Adelaide. And they're not even in the best 23. So out of control.
It is wild. It's terrifying. So the other one I was thinking is their draft pick from their academy. He was like the number 6 kind of pick overall. Daniel Annable.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yep. But they like Devin Robertson, like the absolute big rig. They just went, we don't need him. He's going to be like a huge part for West Coast this year. And they just we don't really need him. They're just that good. It's terrifying. Big O's gone. They replace him with Sam Draper. It just, man, they're too good. Yeah. We've both gone over. Carlton, my beloved Baggers. I should have been wearing the hat, but
2026 premiers right here. Here we go.
The over-under is not exactly wildly, optimistic. 9.5 wins, which is...
Seems low.
It really does, which makes me feel very nervous and rightly so, because this is 100% a team that could just be absolutely pedestrian, middle of the road. They could also be top 8, depending on the way some of these games sort of go their way. Obviously, you start the season with 2 huge, massive primetime Thursday night games, and that'll tell us a lot about how their season's going to go, I think. Last year, the Blues lose that stupid Richmond game straight off the bat and pack her up, boys, we're done, basically, after that. Yeah. So
they can't afford to do that this year.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
No.
So I think I've still got them going over. So the 9.5, I think there's enough there with the Blues, with Jagger Smith basically being back and apparently now the best player to ever play the game.
He'll win the Norm Smith. I think they just gave it to him. Just announced he's the Norm Smith medalist.
But I think so. I took the eldest squid to the Blues power game at the end of last season when Charlie was just like, "Pack her up, boys, I'm done." And big Harry McFive, as we love calling him,
look out,
kicked Harry McSeven in that game and looked awesome. And it's playing against a power team that had also just packed her up. But it's just that moment of maybe that's probably a better way to go. And so when the Curnow stuff is happening, the squid being 7 years old, having a 7-year-old boy in your household who loves footy and is my favorite team is Carlton, my favorite player is Patrick Cripps or Charlie Curnow, and then one of them is just gone.
Goes.
It's a kick in the guts. But I'm kind of like, buddy, I think, remember that power game? And he's
understand.
like, oh, and he
You
kind
understand.
of, So I sort of think, like, we get to this point of, like, I don't know, having Harry out there. I think more importantly, the depth for the Blues is like the biggest key thing. And hopefully that's the sort of thing that can keep them afloat throughout the regular season in a bunch of these games where if they can just beat the teams they're kind of meant to beat, like that's where they've sort of fallen apart the last couple of years here and there where it's like, what are you doing? Oh, no. And there's like an exact moment when they, a year and a half ago, where basically they just hit a wall. They had like, I don't know, 56 points in the first like quarter, I think it was, against GWS.
Yeah.
And managed to somehow lose that game. And then it's been horrible ever since. I think the depth of like Florent, Hayward, having Jagger, I think it just keeps them afloat enough. I have them 14-9 and sort of went back and forth on a couple of I probably gave them one or two extra wins as I'm going through it with a bit of Carlton optimism. I don't know if I trust our tools back, which is like basically Weeders and like Lewis Young. Like it's not.
It gets a bit thin on the ground if you lose one of them. So
it's like McGovern. Like McGovern sort of plays as that mid. Like we've got him at like half of his salary from last year, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Harry Dean comes in as well. You know,
big raps on Harry Dean. They think he's going to have an instant impact, which is what you want to see. You want to see a young kid come in and just be, that's exciting for fans. So, you know, that's what every club wants is when you especially when you're like a Carlton or an Essendon and you're down around you've sort of been up and down for so long. You want to see kids come through and play footy, try not to be injured and it just makes you want to go to the footy, doesn't it?
It does. And you're like, he stands out because he's a ginger, so he's already beloved in the household. So I'm all
He's one of us. One of us.
His jersey. But I think they've got Harry O'Farrell as well. So they've got these tools that are like these young projects. And it's like, all right, hopefully they can stop somebody. But I think it'll take a little bit of the season to work them into it. The one that I do love, I don't know how you feel about Ben Ainsworth, but I feel like he was always a little bit under the radar with Gold Coast. Almost a little bit superfluous to their needs, but has like certainly something that the Blues desperately need, which is like that second or third forward who can just pop up and in like a random game kick 3 goals. And you're like, oh, yeah, I think we won that game because of Ben Ainsworth. I feel like he's kind of perfect for this team. So I feel all right about that. They can throw Zach Williams back and forth. I don't know. So I feel okay-ish.
I think he's a better in for you guys than he is an out for Gold Coast. As you said, I think they would have been happy to keep him, but they were like, we're upgrading to Christian Petrarca. So, but the other one that I think has flown under the radar is Will Hayward. So whenever he was always almost a lock in a multi to get 20 plus and kick 2. So if he can bring that sort of thing to Carlton and have that ability to run through the midfield and hit the scoreboard, I think that's going to really complement. And you'll have him, Ainsworth, and then obviously Williams being able to drop back and forth. They're really going to complement Harry and feed off his content. You know, hopefully we're going to see the best of Harry, not the other stuff. But you know, if he's leading and he's going for contests and he's up and about, those two boys in particular are going to benefit, and it's definitely going to help Carlton. So hopefully they all get injured and you just don't winning. I mean, sorry, Premiers. My bad.
What they let so TDK goes to the Saints, Silvani goes to the Saints, Kerno goes, but I think Liam Reedy. You've got Pitto. I don't know the new ruck rules. Who knows what's going to happen there? I don't know. 9-14, turn around, go full Missy Elliott and flip it up, reverse it. 14-9 for me. What have you got? The Blues.
I've got 13-10. I'm again. I probably had them early as I was doing it. I noticed I was like, I think Carlton are a bit better than where I've got them, and I think that's how it'll play out. I think they'll probably struggle early, and there'll be calls for Voss's head and all that sort of stuff. And I think they'll probably put a run together mid-season, and you know, hopefully for Carlton fans, long-suffering Carlton fans, they'll come home strong and finish 9th. So. But I think there's definitely promise there, and even if it is a 9th finish with 13 or 14 wins, which let's be honest, it probably could be, as long as they show that improvement, I think you have to be happy with it. They'll still call for Voss's head no matter what. But
100%. my good friend Ashton Moyer,
Wow.
he came down to the Squids Oz kick.
Oh, yeah?
And it was awesome with Jesse Motlop, and you're like, this is awesome. And now the, sadly departed Corey Durden. He's not dead. He's just in Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
May as well be. But Ashton Moyer, I'm like, he just has like a little bit of something to him as well. And I'm like, that'll be interesting to see if he takes a bit of a step this year. Anyway, Hot Pies, Collingwood. 13.5 is their over under, which I thought was a little bit, I don't know. I came into this sort of thing looking at going through the season. I'm like, that's like, what are they? The oldest team in the comp. Their sort of weird lack of middle-aged, like quality dudes. Like when I say middle-aged, those like 25, 26-year-olds, right? It's kind of like they're either super old or they're super young. There's not much in the middle. It's like Dacos and Bo McCreary, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt a little bit pessimistic about the Pies this year. I feel like there's just like an age. I feel like this with NBA, NFL, there is like an age cliff where it sort of gets to a point like, oh, it's gonna fall off and it's gonna hurt. I've got them going under this year. No Mason Cox. Will Hoskin-Elliott's gone. Ash Johnson's, who knows where he's gone.
They delisted him.
That's it. Myercheck, who I think was massive for them at times, is gone. And it's like, because they're up against it with all the money they've spent, like their ends are kind of just like, oh, well, we're kind of doing what we are doing with what we've got. And I don't think it's that good. I have them at 10 and 13, Jez. You've got them a lot different to me. How do you feel so optimistic about the Pies?
I don't know if I'm optimistic. I think that I'm on the fence with them, but with my predictions, I sort of went based off end of season form more so because, like you said, they're such a black and white list, pardon the pun. They've got young and old and not much in between that you just don't know which way it's going to go. If all of them, Pendles and Steele Sidebottom and the other old blokes there, fall off a cliff. Jordan DeGoey, he's one. He is such a barometer for them. If they can get a full season out of him at full tilt, then anything could happen. But at the same time, when your leading goal kicker is most likely going to be Jamie Elliott, who, again, is another one who's probably closer to the end than the start, it could just – and you're right, Brody Myercheck, he straightened them up, gave them a target. He was – you could almost pencil him in for a couple of goals a game. And Hoskin-Elliott, again, you even though they're an old side, you're still losing someone who had a lot of composure with the football, played his role off half back. So now they've got to rely on someone new to come in and do that. There's such a. I honestly, I could have had them on the other end of the scale down at 8 and 16. 7 and 16 instead of 16 and 7. That's how knife's edge I think Collingwood are this season. So I've gone with probably didn't even realise that I've gone with the over, but as I went through my ladder the same way you did, they just happened to be there, but I've got no confidence that that's where they'll end up.
Yeah, they finished 16 and 7 last year. And it's sort of like this kind of vibe about them, I think, with they had these games where you're like, oh, classic Pies, like the year before, when they're like, sort of like the post grand final hangover kind of thing, and the year before they win the bloody thing, right? And it's like, you've sort of mortgaged probably this year and onwards essentially to get that flag. You've got a couple of Day-Kai, we get it. You've still got the war criminal Braden Maynard. You've got Darcy Moore and his separate beds. Like, it's just it feels weird. Like, I just feel like it
does.
McRae's an awesome coach. We all get it, but there's also a thing like I think it's pretty easy to be a really good coach if your team is absolutely stacked for a specific moment and you get to just point them in the right direction. It's like the Steve Kerr corollary. And it's like, all right, what happens now? And I think that's going to be the big question this year. So 10 and 13, I think they're just going to be – there'll be games like as you go through their season, you look at some of these matchups, you're like, I don't know if they win that. Like they're like round 1 game or round 0 game rather – this week, the Saints, like that is a huge barometer game straight off the bat, right? Like if they can beat St Kilda, They're up and about. The Saints are loaded for bear. Who knows? So I love it.
Yes. It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Here we
go.
Uh-oh. 6 and 17 last year. Your Essendon Bombers. 7.5 is their over-under, which feels, I
Too
thought,
high.
that was a bit of a rough one. I've gone over. I've got 8 and 15. I feel like, again, you go through the sort of match sims and predictions and stuff, and there are games that you're like, Essendon should win that, and like every time they play at Marvel, you kind of like, yep, I like them against Team X here that they should beat. Essendon will always throw some sort of spanner in the wrench because they were like, oh, we lost to North this time, like that sort of vibe. But like getting Jacob Farrow looked awesome. He's like big raps around him.
Dyson Sharp is
awesome.
one of the not the, but one of the favourites for the Rising Star, and looks like he'll slot straight in too. So,
but no Todd Goldstein. So
yeah,
just breaks your heart. Breaks your heart. No Dylan Shield. Oh, what a world.
Oh yeah. Oh, really?
Jai Menzie. Yeah, I don't know.
Tassie's finest, Jai Menzie.
Sell me on your Bombers here, Jez. What are you going over? What's your pick?
I am going over. I've fallen in the same spot as you, 8 and 15. I was one of the few who actually was happy that last year happened, because we got to basically go through and work out the kids that we had. And I think if you couldn't get a game at Essendon last year, you're probably not going to make it. So, and I think a few got let go that weren't going to make it. There was a couple that I thought maybe, but they found some good young kids. And I think letting Sam Draper go is a kick in the dick, but at the same time, we've got we found a couple of kids with the mid-season draft. The big Vicentini, he's a big lump of a lad who likes to throw his body around, which I really enjoy. And I'm excited. I don't think we're going to go very well this year, but as long as I see a little bit of forward progression in that they're not doing the old Essendon things like walking off the ground while the ball's next to you and stuff like that, the old stupid Essendon moments. If we win 8, I'll be a very happy man.
So Zach Merritt sticks, and everyone's just like, "Oh, is that good?" Which doesn't feel awesome.
I heard he was negotiating a new contract, and I'm like, that changed quickly. So look, I think Zach's a professional, and I think that he will. Even if he's still planning to go, and to be honest, I don't blame him if he does. I think he just doesn't know how to not give 100% when he's on the field. So I think he'll still be a positive. Don't know, it'll probably be more of an impact in the locker room than out on the field, because he wears his heart in his sleeve to an extent. You can see when he's pissed off, and when he's last year there was a lot of eye rolling from Zach, so I can understand where he's at. And as I said, I wouldn't blame him if he did move on. So just not to Hawthorn, please.
Darcy Parish is healthy, right? For the minute. That's probably good. The other Jai, the good one, Jai Caldwell. Weapon.
Absolute weapon. Yep.
There's just like enough kind of like interesting dudes there where I get like, that's how I think I got to the 8 wins, where you just kind of like, all right, it's okay. But it's kind of like, just can you avoid having like 2 of those really important guys not get injured this year? Was it Harrison Jones whose foot basically came off his leg? Like, just like dislocated his ankle and his foot went that way. His leg went that way. Like that. Yeah. Horrible.
And that's he every year he's had some sort of foot injury. So, and I think injuries is a curse that we've got. And obviously last year was just off the charts with injuries. So from what I understand, they've employed new people and all that sort of stuff that you hear out of there, and they've changed blah, 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 blah. The proof will be in the pudding. If we go into, Ridley's already been injured. I haven't heard too much about any other injuries, but if Parish can stay on the field, that's always a win. Competition for spots is what you want. And at his best, or even at 80%, 60%, he's still a quality footballer. So if he's making a young kid work for his spot, then that's good. That's what we want. So.
they're so frustrating though. Like I don't know what it is.
You're telling me.
I mean, 2 meter Peter, Kyle Langford, and Nate Caddy. It feels
Oh,
like you should be awesome, but it just I don't know. It sort of always seems to fall apart. And
you've just named two of the most frustrating footballers that we've had in the last decade, and 2 meter Peter has the size and the ability to tear games apart, but he just, aside from taking I forget the Sydney player's head off that year, he just doesn't have a physical presence on the ground. And Kyle Langford is one of the fittest guys in the AFL, but some of the decisions he makes make you wonder if his brain just checks out for 5 minutes so that his body can keep going, because he can do some brilliant stuff and he can do some equally as just like, what are you doing, man? Kind of stuff there. So
I love it. There's but it's going to be okay because Brad Scott's going to figure it out. Fremantle, 14.5 is their over under. This was one of the ones where, as I went through, I'm like, wait a minute, have I got them 18-5? And it turns out I am very, very, very bullish on Freo this year. Why is that, Jim, you might ask? Well, Leon Kickett looks amazing already. But you've already got like Caleb Sarong, Andy Brayshaw. You've got this sort of like sleeping giant forward line as well, right? Where it feels like if it clicks, it can really click this year. Murphy Reed looks like he could win the fucking Brownlow this year too. He looks awesome. It feels like that's just a team that's like absolutely bang on and ready. Like at home, talk about a fortress. Like I don't think they probably shouldn't lose games at home this year. I think they're awesome. I love them. 18-5 feels pretty good for me because, I mean, they're Freo, right? Like last year, 16-7, it was kind of like a half decent-ish year. And there were moments where they were like wildly just depressing, and then it all turns around. They look really good, and then they fully Freo it. But I don't know. How do you feel about Freo? You're not quite as optimistic as I am.
Not quite. And again, based on last year's, they haven't really lost. They sort of haven't really lost anyone other than Nat Fyfe, but that's probably more of a big cultural loss than on the field at this stage. They haven't really picked anyone up other than your best mate Mason Cox, but they haven't done much with their list, which is why it's sort of hard to go, well, where's the improvement come from? But when you look through it, you look at, like you mentioned, Leon Kickett. Sam Darcy didn't have a full. Sean Darcy, sorry. Sean Darcy? Yeah, Sean Darcy. Didn't have a full season, didn't have a fair run at it. So you wonder how that's going to operate with him and Luke Jackson, especially with the new ruck rule. It's going to take a little bit away from his style of ruck work, but it's also going to give his body a little bit less of bash and crash. Not by much, obviously. It's only the centre ball ups that's going to happen in, but so it makes you wonder. Luke Jackson is a unicorn. So you could have him playing as a ruck rover. You could have him playing centre half forward, full forward, on the wing. He's a genuine unicorn. You could put him wherever you want. So that's what they've got up their sleeve there. And if Darcy does go down, there's every chance Jackson plays as a midfielder that takes the ball up. So they're such an odd team. They could very easily go through and win 19, 20 games if it all falls their way and they do take that step. But they could also very easily go the other way and only win 10 games.
Yeah. I think you sort of hit on like the Jackson part where it's like, they relied so much last year randomly on like Patrick Voss, like to kick a million goals. When you got Giant Miss up there already as well, and, like
Josh Tracy,
like who just sort of like he's like this almost forgot, like he and Giant Miss, like they've just shown this amazing amount of promise, and then Patrick Voss just swans in and goes, "Hey, remember me from the Bombers?" Everyone's like, "Oh yeah." And then he was awesome. And you're like, this is just... And now you got Luke Jackson who can sort of maybe swing forward if Sean Darcy's healthy. They get Hayden Young back for a full year, seemingly. Like this, I just love them. I think they're awesome. So, full purple over here for me. So I've gone 18-5 with the over. You've gone the over. What was your final?
15-6 for me. But again, I could go either way. I thought sort of a bit on the fence with them, but I think they'll definitely be an improver.
Geelong. Cats. This one's a weird one. 15.5. This is another team in terms of age and weird sort of age profiles. Like it's like, Patrick Dangerfield, he's still a top 10 player. It's like, is he? Is he though? Jezza Cameron.
His grand final didn't say he was a top 10 player.
So I'm not as bang on about the Cats, I think, this year, but they do get Tanner Bruhn back. Mitch Duncan retired. Cam Guthrie retired. Was delisted. And
James Warple from Hawthorn.
He comes in, which is like a sneakily excellent pickup.
Very underrated.
But it feels like even the last few years when they've sort of like randomly sort of dropped some games at Kardinia Park, it's sort of like a few cracks in the armor kind of vibes where it's like, wait, did GWS ever lose at Kardinia Park? What about Freo? Like these sort of random games. I've just ducked under with 14-9 because it feels like this is the sort of game, well, the sort of year for a team like the Cats where they've shown these like little glimmers of this in the last couple of years, right? Where it's like, is it the year it all falls apart? And then they turn around and end up going 17-6 like, and they sort of just pull it all together. But I mean, I remember like we were at a game middle, like maybe May or June or something last year. The Blues beat the Cats, and you're like, oh, don't mind this. I don't know if Geelong lost again after that. Basically, it was chaos. And you're like, you could sort of see the way that game unfolded. And then like the one or two games they lost at Kardinia Park, I just don't feel as optimistic as maybe you usually would about the Cats. Like even though like Ollie Dempsey and Shannon Neal and the other big tall forward that I am blanking on.
I've lost it as well. I'm going to have the teams in front of me because there's just,
But they've just, Ollie Henry, right?
Yeah, yes.
That's another one.
Yeah.
I feel like they've got like enough tall timber. There's like a smattering of youth up and down the list. And it feels like, but I just am not as bang on about them this year. This is like a little bit of a step back. Like it's 2 less wins than last year. So I don't think it's a huge dramatic sort of shift but I think it's just more about the competition. I think in the middle of that sort of top 10 gets a little bit tougher and a little bit harder for them to sort of hold off. So how about you, Jez?
I've actually gone a bit more of a drop off. I've got them under at 12-11 and I actually think they're going to miss the finals. Ooh. I think that Jeremy Cameron is already injured and I think unless they need him to have a big year, have any chance. As I mentioned, I thought Dangerfield's grand final performance was horrible. I think his attitude was what really stung me. He was, I don't know, he didn't seem like he'd bought into it. I think he is a bit more about Patrick Dangerfield this day and looking maybe a little bit too far ahead into his commentary career. And I think grand final day might have been a little bit of you either need to pull your head in, mate, and remember you're still playing, or and like us, Dempsey, unreal. They do have some good young kids, and awesome. Warple's going to be an addition, but I think it's the old guys that are going to make or break them, and I think if you have Jezza and Danger not have great years, that's going to be really hard for the rest of the team. Tom Stewart's another big one. If he spends time off the field like he has sort of seemingly semi-regularly, always around that sort of crunch time of the season, he seems to be injured. I think they're going to struggle, and I really do think they're going to have to slide. Look, as you said, Geelong being Geelong, they'll probably have a slide and then fix it and end up winning 15 games and finishing 6th or something like that. But it's going to get harder and harder to keep doing that every year, and I think this year might be one of those years.
Over under the amount of times Max Holmes is called underrated.
It's got to be the over. It's got to be the over.
Gold Coast, 15.5. I love my Suns. Terrifying.
Your man, Jed.
I love Jed. He's like, they're just such a great, bizarre, strange, but awesome team. I love the Gold Coast Suns.
And they've gotten better.
They've gotten better because they just went, let's just add a bunch of really good dudes. What do you reckon? We've got the reigning Brownlow medal winner. Bailey Humphrey looks awesome all of a sudden again. But they just come into this season going, well, now we've got Christian Petrarca and Shara Ugle-Hagan. And, we're feeling pretty good about things. I'm just saying, I love them. I think Ben King is primed to go absolutely whack this year. And I think like Noah Anderson, incredible. They got rid of stupid, sexy Flanders. which was
That was the odd one, but again, like with Ainsworth, I think he wasn't surplus to their needs, but they're going to cover him with they've got Zeke Hewlin coming through, who looks like he could be anything as well. So I don't think they're going to rue the loss of Sam Flanders as much as I think he's a great player. Same with Fiorini, was always that sort of just out of the team. He's going to go to Essendon and probably have a couple of great years. Yep. So yeah, I think they're in a great place, scary great place.
Jed Walter, this is the year. Sure,
look out,
best mate. I love him. My other best mate, Ned Moyle, is still on the team as well, which is very exciting. I love me some Ned Moyle.
My youngest son, his favourite player is Mac Andrew. So
love that.
Love watching Mac Andrew fly. So unless he's kicking the winning goal against Essendon, he can stop doing that. But otherwise, very very exciting team to watch play. Very exciting.
15.5. I have them 18-5, and I felt absolutely fine about that. I'm like, they could be more. I think I tagged them with like a loss or two later in the season, almost because I'm like, I think I've got them almost going undefeated for like this very large stretch of the season. I need to just pump the brakes.
Calm your farm, Jim. Calm your farm.
I really need to. They actually have. I was trying to figure out like the MCG games as well for them this year, and I'm like, wait a minute, how many Suns games can I actually get to this year? Because I desperately want to go to a game at Carrara at some point this year.
100%.
I just don't know if I'm going to manage the sort of timing of everything. So, anyway, 18-5. I feel great about the Suns. They're loaded across every line. I think the addition of Petrarca is just
it's ridiculous
chaos, right? He's so good, and they're so talented. So, what have you got them at?
I've gone a little more conservative with 16-7. However, unlike Freo, who I was also conservative with, I can't actually see them, unless they have an Essendon-style injury crisis, I can't actually see they could lose one or two of their key players, and they've got that much in reserve that I think that 16-7 is probably a worst case for me. I'm with you. I could see them going, finishing top. I think winning the final, especially over in Perth, it's like the old saying, you get to finals, you got to lose one to win, all that sort of cliche crap. But I honestly think getting a win on the board in their first final series has probably given them a bit of resolve. They've added some, how often do you see a team add the quality of Petrarca? And yes, Jamara had his issues, but the kid's a gun.
Yeah.
And from all reports, and I watched a little bit of the Brisbane and Gold Coast game, he is looking fit and he's back on track. So, and he's a number one pick. So I think that they're going to be very, very hard to beat. I can't see them losing a game up there. So
I think the Q clashes this year are going to be like probably the best games.
Unreal. Looking forward to it.
Love me some Damien Hardwick as well. GWS, another team that has just snagged a former Melbourne superstar. They obviously get
they have.
Clayton Oliver. They're over on his 12.5. I've gone under 10-13.
Ooh.
I feel like this is just a Tom Green injury pick for me. Like losing Tom Green, so he did an ACL?
Yep.
Absolutely brutal gear. He talk about underrated dudes. Like he is the sort of straw that stirs the drink in GWS. Everything he does is awesome, and it's wildly underrated. Again, want to go to a game there, stand under the Tom Green banner, the hill, and cheer on some mostly ginger brethren. But I think the Clary thing, everyone's like, I love a good training the house down story. It's just something feels a bit janky. I don't know what it is. And like losing Tom Green straight away, Finn Callahan's going to be an absolute weapon. We know that. Jesse Hogan can still go out and win the Coleman again. You've got just lots of talent, but it always feels just a little bit strange. And like they went 16-7, just like everybody else basically last year, right? Like one of those classic. How many teams was it? 16-7. It was like four.
It was crazy. Yeah.
And like they've obviously just got all this talent. They've got Tom Green's now gone, but they've got you got Toby Green doing his Toby Green stuff, and you're like, I don't know if this is okay or good. Caniglio, Cadman came on finally last year, looked really good. You got Whitfield coming off half back and through the middle and stuff. I don't know. There's this one team that I'm just like, I just don't really have a great handle on them this year. So I went under with that 10 and 13. What did you go there, Jez?
I went over with 15 and 8, but again, there's this big clump of teams between sort of 4 and 10 that I think could sort of basically you could just throw them up in the air and however they land is what will happen. Yep. Similar to Freo, I think, but probably more so, I think that's a best case scenario for the Giants. Josh Kelly's a bit of a worry there because he can't seem to get on the field. They've got a few. Clayton Oliver is going to be he's either going to be a big hit or a really big miss. I hope he's a big hit because, I love contested football. So, and that's his game. Jesse Hogan, same thing. He could win the Coleman or he could miss half the year injured. It's the one thing that hasn't happened to them that has in a lot of years is they haven't lost anyone. There's always that one or two names that want to go home, even though they've been in Sydney for 10 years. But they always seem to lose one or two of their high draft picks. They haven't done that this year, which I think is probably the first time that I can remember they haven't lost somebody of note. I think a few have gone. But, so that's a positive. They have obviously picked up Clayton Oliver. I think Jaden Laverty that they picked up from Essendon, they haven't. I've looked at a couple, and he's not even considered to be in their best 23, which just shows they must have a bit of depth down back because I thought he would slot in there quite well. Found it funny that they redrafted Jake Stringer. I just don't know what they see there, and that is a lot of bitter Essendon fan there. But I also just don't know what he adds to that side. They obviously see something that others don't. But anyway. I think, what I think they need to do, and I think Adam Kingsley's got a bit of the Joey Muzz vibes. I think he needs to start watching the town with his team.
Yep.
Get them all down there, get them to watch the town every day after training, and they'll be fine.
He's got the threatening vibes of Joey Muzz.
He's got the big guns. He's got the big guns.
It's like that
I do jiu-jitsu, however you say it. That's Adam Kingsley. It's like
he might be too intimidating. That might be the problem.
Could be, yeah. Could be.
Maybe
that's why they got Laverde in because he's got a big upper body. You can just go, hang on, boys, I'll wrestle him.
So I've gone the under, you've gone the over.
I've gone the over.
Big differences. I think it's just like one of those teams has to take like that little bit of a dip, and I think it might be them. I don't know.
I think the 12.5 that they've got is probably bang on where they are, to be honest. So we've both gone either side of that, and I think that's pretty fair. In the middle is probably about where they are.
The middle would be bang on 12.5.
Funny that.
Hawthorn, 14. I've gone 16 and 7 for the Hawks. They are very
family club.
14 and How do we feel about the Hawks? I've got the 16 and 7 that I gave them. Felt pretty. I feel like being a little bit conservative with some of their results as I was doing the sort of simulation. They were obviously really odd team last year where they looked like the best team in the comp some weeks and then they'd sort of just like look weird and strange and ended up 15 and 8, I think, overall. So where they get smoked by Geelong in the finals and you're like, all right, where do they go now? But they killed Adelaide, right? Like, so they're just a fascinatingly strange team, I think. And big question around them is just like, will Day's always sort of hurt? We always sort of get that, but I don't know. What do you feel about the Hawks here, Jez?
Well, I've managed to get them top of the ladder, 19 4.
Look at that.
And that is a lot of. They are a strange team, but I think if they can put it together, and I think they've come from nowhere. Like 3 years ago, they were bottom of the ladder, and people were worried about them. And Sam Mitchell is he the right, all that sort of stuff. And then they sort of come from nowhere and made finals, and then all of a sudden they were, one of the top sides, and they dropped off a bit. But I think a bit of it does rely on Will Day's health. But at the same time, I think they coped pretty well without him. And I think, again, they obviously went after the big fish in Zach Merritt, and it didn't happen. But I think they've got a lot of good youth coming through. They obviously picked up the two defenders. What was his name? Barras from West Coast and Battle from St Kilda, who I didn't think they gelled very well last year. So I think a season and another pre-season behind them to get a bit of structure. They've let a couple go, like they let James Warple go and CJ Giath go to Melbourne. So they've obviously surplus of they think they're surplus of what they need. So, and you just know what Sam Mitchell and Hawthorn are like. They'll back themselves and they'll have a red hot crack. And again, they're an exciting team to watch. I think they'll go close to top of the ladder, but I think they might struggle at the end of the season. So I think you'll find they'll probably win a lot of games early and maybe peter out. Again, 19-4, it was probably, I'm not sure why I went that high. I do think they're overs, but I don't know how I got to 19-4. I obviously rate them higher than their fixture. So, but, or, going against each team, you'll go, yeah, they could beat them. I reckon they'd beat them just based on now. And that's just how it's panned out. So,
yeah,
see what happens, I suppose.
I like it because I think that's where I sort of like there's some weird matchups. I think was the thing that threw me where it's like, oh, I just think last couple of years they've struggled against this team, so I'll tag them with a loss there. Yep. There's a couple of interstate ones where you're like, oh, Freo might be it. Yeah. So 16-7, we're both gone over for the Hawks. Melbourne 8.5. The D's. I have gone absolutely bottom bin vibes. 4-19 for the Demons. Eesh. If you thought they should kick goals last year, kicked straight as well, and they looked awesome against the Tigers the other day in Ballarat. What did they kick? 12 goals in like no time, and then the game got called off. It was absolutely brutal. I really struggled with the Ds. I'm just like, this Demon team feels a little bit janky. They lose Oliver. They lose Petrarca, obviously. There's just this strange sort of setup where they've got Latrell Pickett, and you're like, ooh, don't mind this. You've got Cozzy, okay, and Max Gawn, all right. Jakey Lever
But you're right, it's a very odd setup. They've obviously brought in Myercheck, who will help with that forward line, but I am going to struggle to see how they get the ball to him regularly enough to make a difference. Cozzy, I think, is going to have to play midfield and not iron blokes out and get suspended for 3 or 4 weeks.
Ultimate wild card, Cozzy Pickett this year. Like, he could be absolutely the game breaker of all game breakers. Who knows? But I feel like their depth is just not like it's all like you go through their list and you're like, oh yeah, I know him. He's all right. He's all right. He's okay. And then it sort of drops off and you're like, oh, this feels like it could go real sideways real quick.
They got a lot of names in their best 23 that you go, who's that? I didn't know he was at Melbourne.
So I've got 4-19. What did you go?
I've matched you bang on there, 4-19. It's going to be a big slide.
North Melbourne, 7.5. They're over under. I've got them at 6-17. Going through their season. Oh, this is going to be interesting very quickly. And then I sort of got. I think there was like a bit of their schedule. You're like, oh yeah, they could win that. They could win this. They could win that. And suddenly, Clarko's off the hot seat and he's back and he's okay. No massive like sort of additions or subtractions really. But this is more just like our kids are good now.
Well, yeah, they need to be good now because they've been their kids for probably almost too long.
A little bit too long. Yep.
They did beat Collingwood by a point this afternoon in Ballarat. So that's a positive, even though it is pre-season. That's a good start.
Jai Simpkin wanted to leave, didn't. It was a bit of a strange one. But it's like the likes of McKercher and Sheasel and everybody this year, right? Like the big Suvalaki, I love him. Like
the new skipper. George Wardlaw, I think, is one that they really need to get him on the field. He's an absolute contested nut. Yep. Probably one of those players that needs to be saved from himself a bit because of his attack on the ball. But he uses it very well, and he will be the engine room of that midfield. Him getting it out to the likes of Sheasel and LDU and stuff like that. They really need him in there and fire him.
But yeah, it feels like this is the sort of like you saw flashes of it last year, and that's kind of the good thing for the Roos is just sort of like, all right, this is kind of the direction you want to be pointing in. You want it pointing up, and
well, they drew with the Premiers. I can't remember if it was up there or not, but mid-season they pulled off a draw, which shows they've got the ability. They just obviously aren't quite there yet to do it consistently.
Yeah, like it feels like they're better than the teams below them on the ladder last year. I think they were like 5-17 and they had the draw last year. So you kind of like, all right, there were some smashings last year. You get that on the big jobs, but they were competitive in a bunch of these other ones. It's sort of like it felt like, I mean, when they beat Carlton, was like I was there for it was like my birthday. My old man had come down for this, and you're like, this sucks. This is it's like their first game at the G against the Blues in like 20 years or something, and it was absolutely horrible. But they've gotten to the point where they are better than like West Coast and Richmond. And I think this year they're better than Melbourne and stuff. So it feels like they should be pointing upwards. I've got them, with the over under at 7.5. I've still got them at 6 and 17, so slightly better than last year. Like one more win. I could probably get them to 7 wins as well because it feels like they're better than maybe Richmond, West Coast, maybe Port, maybe Melbourne. So there's a couple of extra wins maybe floating around. And like, as I said, they'll play a random team tough here or there, maybe better than like they'll beat Essendon maybe once or twice. If they play Sydney at Marvel, they might pip them out of nowhere. So yeah, I don't mind them at like that 6-17, 7 and 16 mark.
Yeah, I've gone the same, at the under at 6 and 17. They're another team though you could easily see jumping up to 9 or 10 wins with, a bit of pluckiness and they get on a little bit of a roll and they get some of the better teams at the right time for them. So yeah, I just, again, it's one of those teams that, like Essendon, they just need their fans and their all the supporters and stuff need to just see a bit of improvement, whether they finish on the same amount of wins or 1 or 2 more, but they just need to see that they're going in the right direction. So
it's a good shout. What do we got? Port 9.5. That is
way too high.
I went under 8 and 15, and like going through their stuff, and you're like, at home they should be. I don't know if they can beat that team. Kind of vibes. Obviously, Rosie and Butters are awesome, and Mitch Georgiades, sure. Otherwise, Jez, it gets a bit. I don't know.
Well, they got the Hornet, but the Hornet could be awesome, or he could be just not there.
Exactly. Give me some sort of like idea of like consistency from JHN, and we'll sort of go, okay, then that's fine. There's like enough sort of talent floating around that I don't know if they're going to outright stink, but I think you've got them outright stinking, don't you?
I've got them outright stinking, yeah. Yep.
So 8 and 15 for me. I feel like there's enough there to sort of keep their heads above water, but I think the coaching transition was really weird last year, and I think
I've gone 4 and 19, and I can see them dropping right off. They haven't added anyone, and I think Trav Boak and Willie Rioli will be bigger losses just based on their. If they were somewhere like a Collingwood or a Fremantle, they probably wouldn't be the losses that they are going to be to Port Adelaide, because Willie, obviously, he had his issues last year, but he added a lot to their forward line and could push up the ground. And Trav Boak, even though he was at the end, he was still a big part of their leadership. That's going to, there's going to be a big hole there that Butters and Rosie are going to have to fill. And both of those guys have struggled to stay on the field for a full season. One because he keeps getting suspended, and the other one because he keeps getting injured. So yeah, it's going to be tough.
It's a weird one. They're one of the strange floater teams this year that I'm like, it's really hard to get a handle, because I think 9 and 14 9 and 14
last year, yeah.
And never ever really felt like they got going ever. It was a weird one.
Agreed.
Richmond over under is 4.5. There, I've got them at 4 and 19, so just a tick under for Richmond. This is a team I think that could again sneak up on a couple of random teams that you're like, oh god, are we paying attention? Geez, what has just happened to us? How did we lose to the Tigers? But I feel like they're just that young that it's going to be really hard in a lot of, like, especially as we saw last year, right? Like, you just hit this moment throughout the season where you just start getting your ass kicked, like time after time, and you're like, ooh, this is rough as. Yeah. And I think jumping out of the gate like they did last year by beating the Blues, which is still hilarious. I don't know if Carlton will take them, like at all lightly this year.
I think they will.
I think it's going to be a bit of a rough one, but I think there's enough talent there because those young dudes are really good. And you saw not as many flashes maybe as North last year, but there's a couple of good games in there. But yeah, 4 and 19, tick under for me. What about you there, Jez?
I've got them at 3 and 20. Again, I agree. I think they had a lot of injuries last year as well. Not obviously at the Essendon scale, but they had a lot of those young guys came in and played well and then were out for half a season injured. Sam Layla was one of them. He looked like an absolute gun.
Yeah.
They've had, Jonty Fall. He looks quite good. There's a lot of Ballarat expats in there, which is, good footy up that neck of the woods. So I think a lot of young guys and a lot of, the experience is gone now. So they're far removed from their premiership years, that's for sure. Josh Gibkiss, another Ballarat boy from St. Pat's there, he's going to come back into their defence, which will only make it stronger, and it'll be good for them. I can see them catching a couple of teams unaware on the right day. And it would be interesting to see how them and someone we're going to talk about shortly, the West Coast Eagles, how they track. They seem to be tracking very similar in their position and how they're looking to grow. So it'd be interesting to see where both of those teams are at the end of the year. But I think Richmond they'll be exciting in patches, and I think their fans. You've had it so good for so long. Just deal with it. Like, I don't want to hear you whinging.
So I think they won 5 games last year. I think.
Yes, yep, so, that's right.
And I feel like they're basically about there again. It's like they'll beat a couple of teams. Like they beat the Blues and I think the Bombers last year.
They
right?
did,
and
yeah.
Then there's like a win over West Coast and stuff like that. So I reckon it'll be very similar to this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 5-18. Maybe they go a tick over, but at the moment, I've just got them right at the under 4-19. What have you got them with their record?
I've got them at 3-20. Yeah, so yeah, give or take.
Kilda, money bags.
Wow,
12.5 is their over under. I've gone 14-9. I think TDK helps them a lot with Rowan Marshall. Like I think the weird thing about TDK is that his like ability around the ground is like weirdly underrated. Like every time he played for the Blues, and it was like either every time they played him and Pitto at the same time, it never looked that great. So I'm interested to see how they go with Rowan Marshall and TDK at the same time. But 9-14 last year, you've got Naz, you've got Jack Silvani now. But anyway, you've got a bunch of dudes in this team that you've got Ross Lyon in charge of all this. I'm fascinated to see what happens, right? But I feel like that injection of talent still gets the over for me. So 14-9, they are going to be one of the biggest stories, I think, of the season.
I've got them at the same. And the only way that what I think of when I think of St. Kilda is you remember the old Pro Heart ads, and he'd be there throwing spaghetti and jam and all kinds of different condiments on the carpet, and then the old cleaning lady would come, "Oh, Mr. Hart!" That's Ross Lyon with St. Kilda. He's just throwing spaghetti and ice cream and all that sort of stuff on the carpet to make some sort of artwork, and we just don't know what's going to happen and who's going to clean it up. So they could be anything. They could win every game. They could lose every game. They could, they could just implode and we never see St. Kilda again. It's fascinating. I'm so interested to see how it all goes. I think one thing I do think is that Nazaya Wangani Malera, he could very easily come out of this year the best player in the comp.
Yep. They get Stupid Sexy Flanders as well, which is excellent.
I think that's a good pickup. Yeah.
He's
Liam Ryan
as well from the Eagles.
Ryan.
So it's probably the craziest mix experiment team, as you mentioned, right? Like it's just we're throwing stuff up against the wall. We'll see what happens. So
with a mad scientist coach.
Kind of love it.
Yeah.
Sydney, 14.5. I've gone a tick under here, 13-10. I think there's a lot of hype around the Swans team. I think they are very good. Charlie. So 12-11 last year. There were moments where it's like, what happened to the Swans? This is weird. They did deal with injuries. I don't know, Heaney is amazing. We all get that. They always felt gettable, right? Last year, which was a bit of a strange one because, like, in years past, they just looked like imperious at times, and that did not feel that way this past.
Definitely.
And they had Charlie. It's like, oh, that'll fix it. It's like Charlie's at a little bit of a different spot, than like Buddy Franklin or even Barry Hall, Tiger. Like when they bring in their big gun forward to the Sydney Swans, as they just always do.
Yeah.
Kerno, the knee stuff sort of really hampered him last year, obviously.
Well, he's coming off 8 surgeries to his knees, which is not ideal.
So I just had to tamper a little bit of the enthusiasm and had them improving on last year. but 13 and 10, it's still under. And I think you've gone under as well.
I think the 14.5 is way too high. I've actually got them down at, well, I've ended up with them at 8 and 15. I've got them as a big drop off. I think Charlie is a make or break. If he breaks, then they're done. I think they're going to probably, they obviously had to give up someone to get him, but I think Will Hayward's going to be a big loss for them. I really rate him as a player. As I said earlier, he's a plug and play for 20 and 2 goals. I think they're going to miss him, and I think they've got too many players that if they're not fit, they can't function as a team. Having said that, I've got the same. I could easily swap them with Collingwood and have them finish top 4. And it all just depends on their fortunes with injury and form. So they could quite easily go the over and win 16 games. But I've just landed on them based on what I think is going to happen at 8 and 15. So that's probably the only other one that we've got significantly different. So
yeah, but it is still funny. We are very different, but we're both under. So
yeah, I think that honestly, that's probably one of the only ones I think the over is way too high.
Yeah,
so
because I think about Chad Warner, Heaney, and obviously Errol Goulden. It's a star-studded, really supremely talented sort of group. Charlie, awesome. We get it. But how good is he really going to be next to Hayden McLean and all these sort of other
Joel Amati and
Amati party, right? You've got a couple of these dudes.
Yeah.
Fascinating to see how it all mixes.
It's a very, very tall forward line.
Yeah.
And then you've got Papley down there to stir shit up. So
yeah. So I think they're still good, and I've still got them going better than last year. I just don't know if it's going to be skyrocketing. West Coast 3.5. I've gone 3 and 20. Oh, it's a tough one.
It's an improvement.
It is. It's they looked so bad last year though, right? It was embarrassing. But they lose Oscar Allen. They have Willem Dersma come in as the number 1 pick. You've got Harley Reid. Oh, Harley Reid, bam, bam. A bunch of other draft picks. You've got Devin Robinson coming over and Starcevich coming over from Brisbane. It's just, is that going to be enough to win them a couple of extra games? Probably not, but it'll probably make them look a little bit more respectable, which is probably good. I think Harley Reid will be good. I get it, but they're still a pretty bad football team, Jez.
Yeah, I've gone the same, mate. Under at 3 and 20. I can't see him winning more than that, to be honest. As I said, I'd be interested to see how the paths sort of follow each other with Richmond, because if I was to pick one, I'd be putting my money on Richmond. Having said that, if Harley Reid, he's been good, and you can see he's going to be a gun, but he hasn't had the best couple of years to start. He's shown some absolute flashes of brilliance, but I don't know that he's dealt with the hype around himself as well as he would probably like to if he reflected back on it in the future. Having said that, if he has a big year and wins their best and fairest and and dominates the midfield, and he always seems to get on the scoreboard, so that's only going to help them progress. Not sure about Liam Baker as captain. That was he's been there for 1 year, and it's well, who else have we got? Liam's won a flag. He'll do.
It's very strange.
All the other old boys are like, no, we don't fucking want it. No.
Yes. They've still got Elliot, and he's just like, no, I'm good. I reckon just bite the bullet and go Jake Waterman, captain. Bang. Love the J train. He's got carpet snake from Timu vibes. A bit of the Fraser Gerrigs about him. That's it. He really does. We don't feel good about West Coast.
Oh no.
The Western Bulldogs is one of the ones that we disagree on with the over and the under. I have them at 13 and 10. The over-under is 13.5. You have gone
14 and 9. I've gone over.
So I like the Dogs. I do think, however, there's 14 and 9 last year. I think they're about the exact same-ish.
Yeah.
But I think going through this, and when I landed on 13 and 10, a lot of that, again, was weird sort of random matchups where you're like, ooh, I don't know if I like that. And I probably did tag them with maybe one extra Carlton loss that they probably don't deserve. That's probably on me, so I probably should be a little bit higher. But I think this is a very, very, very good team that can't get out of its own road a lot of the time. And they've got Sam Darcy, though, the ascendant super duper star of the comp. that keeps landing in like these top 10 lists and stuff. It's like, what's he like? We've seen a bit. I don't know. We've seen a like complete and utter domination for an entire season yet, obviously. So
Yeah.
can we see it? Can we see it? So maybe it's this year, and it probably very well could
needs to be. Yeah.
And but otherwise, the Bont, getting a little bit long in the tooth. You've still got Libba. You've got enough dudes on this team where they'll just be very respectable, very tough. It's just like, but what happens when it actually matters in the finals again? Like, are they the same? Are they going to do the same thing? I don't know. The Ugle hate thing was always weird last year.
I think it derailed them a bit too, whether they want to admit that or not. But I've gone 14-9, obviously gone just over. But again, they finished 9th with 14-9 last year. So, and they're probably the one team in the comp that is matchup, like ridiculously matchup dependent. If the matchups don't work for them, they can't seem to find a way to get past it. So if the matchups are on their terms, they smoke teams. They've obviously Essendon. We just don't know how to play against them. We've been beaten by a total of 190 points last year by them in over 2 games, but we just can't get near them. And there's other teams that you go, how the hell are they not beating them? But they're purely matchup dependent. If they haven't got it on their terms, they just can't deal with it. So
they had a really great second half really last year, I think, wasn't it? And it's like, oh, look out, and then it sort of just,
I think they lost to
Freo in the finals in the end. That was kind of it. But I think before that, they had one. I think they lost to the Lions, and Lions and Adelaide, and you kind of like otherwise they just won a absolute crap ton of games. You're like, this is pretty good. Here we go. And then it all falls apart.
Away. Yeah,
the prove me wrong season for the Dogs.
And Bevo.
Sam Darcy and Bevo. Like if Darcy just goes whack, Bevo could maybe write another song about him. It'd be awesome. But I've just gone a little bit under. So
interesting.
It's kind of, but that's it. You look at it like across the list. I've got so many teams in that sort of between 13 and 16 wins, and then a couple on top of that feel to me like the clear class, which is like Brisbane, Gold Coast, Adelaide, Freo, and then a lot of question marks outside of that for me, which feels, I don't know, about right. So what did we disagree on the most? It was a 6 game swing for one of them.
Swans,
GWS.
Swans and GWS were the two that we probably five games. Collingwood as well. Yep.
There you go. That tracks. All right. Well, who's going to win the Brownlow, Jez? What do you reckon?
I reckon if they have that better year that we just spoke of, the Bont at the Bulldogs, I think he's always up there, isn't he? And I think this year, if they have a good year and Darcy goes nuts and Bevo writes more songs and everyone does what they're supposed to do, I think the Bont might finally take one home. How about you, Jim?
Dacos. I think he does a Cripps 2 years ago and probably sets like the Brownlow voting record with the amount of votes. Because now they actually check the stats.
I was going to say, now that they can check the stats, it's going to change the voting a lot. And I think, when they see Dacos getting 41, even if he had 19 clangers, I think they're probably going to go, there's 3 votes. So
that's it. So I think that's why that was my absolute. I barely thought about it. Like they can see the stats now. They'll see like who else on that Collingwood team is going to be
very good point,
influencing it as much as him. So it's him for me. The Coleman. Who have you got there, Jez?
I've gone with Ben King from the Gold Coast. I think going along with our talking about them in the over-unders, that they're going to be a very good side, and I think he's going to kick a lot of their goals. So
I jokingly was like, Harry McFive, Coleman. He's already won one.
No,
why not another? By the same token, I think Sam Darcy's a really interesting one. Charlie, like for Sydney, I think is a really, really good chance to do it again. But again, though, the injury thing with Charlie sort of makes me a little bit hesitant. The one that I sort of really do like is maybe Thriller.
The Thriller,
for Radelaide. But I don't know if he puts up those massive, massive, massive bags that some of the other dudes do. And like Darcy and McFive are probably my favourites because Harry McFive, he is just going to be the tall timber dude up the front by himself a lot of these times for the Blues. And Darcy's the same, right? Like he's these massive focal points that are actually substantially taller than Charlie, to the point where, like, I remember I was at the airport. We got the plane over for Gather Round a couple of years ago with the Blues.
Yeah.
And, like, you're like, oh, God, Charlie's not much taller than me. This is a bit weird. Whereas Harry at 5 is huge. Like, even Pito's not as big as Harry. Like, just like, this is a bit strange. Anyway, so give me the size for the Coleman, I reckon. I don't know about Hogan. As I said, I'm not wildly convinced about GWS. Rising star for me. Very easy, Jez.
Who else?
Jagger, you're about It rolls off the tongue. It's Jezza, it's Jagger. Bang. I love him. He looks amazing.
I think he's going I think the only thing that'll stop him is injury, and fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I agree. I think Jagger, but I'm going to keep my Essendon hat on and go with Dyson Sharp.
Ooh.
I think Jagger's almost an odds-on favourite, but there's Willem Dersma and Dyson Sharp are the next two. So I'm going to stand by my boy and go with Dyson Sharp.
I like that we've just gone with our own dudes.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
In your face, Dersma.
We're allowed to because we can.
It's our show. Premiers, I'm just going to go Lions 3-peat because they've done it before. They'll do it again. They look terrifying.
Really made a tough call there. Go with the form team. I like it.
So 2 years ago, I was like, I picked the Lions. It was back-to-back years I took them. The year they lost to Collingwood.
Yep.
The year that they won, I'm like, I just love the Lions. I'm just not going to change my pick. I think going into last year, I might have picked them 3 years straight as well. I can't remember what I said preseason, but I just proved me wrong.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So, who have you got?
I've gone with Adelaide. I actually think they're going to. At this stage, I think they're going to take that step, and I think that it might be their year. Going to be hard to beat Brisbane though. They've just shown from losing that close one that they could have very easily won against Collingwood, and they get it right at the right time. Very well coached, good club, good culture, all that sort of stuff. But I think if anyone's going to knock them off, I've just gone for Adelaide because I reckon most people are tipping Brisbane at this point. So, but I think if anyone can go close and end the dynasty, is Adelaide.
It's a really good, I think, like Gold Coast and Adelaide feel like the best puncher's chance guys to knock off Brisbane, right? Like it feels like they've got the weapons that they could sort of just throw at them and maybe trip them up. But I don't know. There you go. Week 0.
Week 0.
Round. We start this week.
It's unreal, isn't it? It's just
Sydney versus Carlton. The footy is back. It's amazing. Again, though, as I said, it just annoys me. A lot of things about AFL brain geniuses in charge of everything is how they miss obvious tricks. I think having a opening round where it's like, oh, we're going to send everyone up north. Oh, but we'll have one Melbourne game because people chucked a hissy fit and got sad about it.
With that in mind, to you, Collingwood.
With that in mind, you've got the reigning premiers, Brisbane, playing. You've got the team they beat in the grand final playing in round 0, but they're not playing each other. How do you not open the season with a grand final rematch when it's just sitting there? What are you doing? Because I don't think we lose anything if we have Carlton, Sydney on Friday, or even like Brisbane, Geelong on the Friday night. Like I don't just open the season with a grand final rematch. What are you doing? But anyway, Thursday we kick it all off. Sydney hosting Carlton, the Charlie Curnow Bowl. 21.5 points felt a little bit high. So I'm probably going to take Carlton plus 21.5 in that one. We don't have over-unders yet because we're still like 4 or 5 days out.
Yep, I'm going to go the same. I think it's too high. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
I think the Blues probably come into this season feeling better than they did last year where Curnow's dealing with injuries. They lose Jagger. They lose Nick Newman.
Big underrated loss to Nick Newman.
He was like that extra little bit of class off the halfback flank that they really missed. So I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit underrating them. So I'll take the plus 21.5. I don't know if they win, but should be a good game. Friday, Gold Coast, my beloved Suns up against the Cats. They're 5.5 point favourites on Friday at home. I love Gold Coast in this one. They come out flying.
Yep.
Geelong, it's hard to get this sort of taste out of the grand final out of your mouth, doesn't it? Like, it's just...
I'm interested to see how they come back. It wasn't a close game. It was an absolute belting, especially in that second half. So I'd swap the lines around. I'd have the 5.5 for Sydney Carlton, and I'd have 21.5 for that game, because I think Gold Coast are going to probably get out to a decent lead and just coast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Gold Coast minus 5.5 easily for me too.
Yeah.
Saturday, you got the doubleheader. You got Greater Western Sydney, 9.5 point underdogs against the Hawks. I'll probably take the Hawks minus 9.5. As I said, I don't think I'm that wildly convinced about GWS. So I think the Hawks, it does feel like, though, these two teams, like, one of my go-tos is like, when was the last time you remember these guys playing? And of course, this was in a final last year. And Hawthorn did GWS pretty well. And you're like, all right, this is a bit worrisome. I like the Hawks again, so I'm going to take them in this game, I think.
Yeah, I think the Hawks will win, but I think GWS will cover.
Nice.
I think it's going to be a good game to start with.
So what time is that one on the Saturday? That's at 3:15.
I think it's a 3:15 game. Ooh.
That's this weekend, however, is Labor Day weekend. So
it's a long weekend.
There's a pub near us, the Railway Hotel in Brunswick, and they have a big screen out the back in the beer garden, and that is
4:15. 4:15. Sorry.
So it's basically where I live during the winter. Just like sitting out in that garden is just awesome. There's nothing better. But unfortunately, I think we'll be down the beach. Oh no, sad jib. And then you got the Lions Dogs later that day. The Lions are 15.5 point favourites against Western Bulldogs. What do you reckon there, Jez?
I'm going to take the Dogs to cover. I think the Lions will get over the line, but I think that's a little high. I can see it being a good game. I think the Dogs, again, matchups. I think the Dogs match up well. And Lions, in all their years, they've come in a little bit walking into a run rather than sprinting from the start. So I can see this one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dogs get a win here. I don't think they will, but I won't be surprised if they do. So I'll take them to cover.
If you sort of go back to, I think, what was it, the 2 years ago when Carlton the first year of week 0, I think Carlton were up there and beat them by a point.
Yes, that's right. I think you're right, yeah.
And I feel like this is the same sort of thing where the Lions are a little bit like, we're really good. It's fine.
Yeah.
And
we don't need to play well yet.
That's it. I think the Dogs will be a little bit hungry. I'll take the plus 15.5. So.
Yeah.
Sunday, we've got St Kilda versus Collingwood. What a ripper game this is.
A money bowl.
This is so good. I'm like, they nailed this at least for the opening Melbourne clash for week 0, the only game in Melbourne that weekend. Saints 1.5 point underdogs. I'm going to take the Saints. I think it works straight away. I think Collingwood are going to struggle to kick goals. I think St Kilda, in the same way that I think Sydney might beat Carlton in that game this week. And Charlie, I'll get to this in a second. Like, Charlie probably tears them apart. I think the Saints will probably have a bit of the hypiness around them too. And everyone comes out of there going, oh my God, St Kilda are going to win the flag.
Yeah.
It might be more of an indictment, though, on Collingwood rather than the Saints.
I'm with you. I'm going to take the Saints. I think they'll win, and I think they'll win easy. I think this will show us where Collingwood are, what they're going to be this season, because if they come out and they give a half-assed performance and don't look, I think that'll set the tone for their season. They're the sort of side I think that are going to have to be on all year to get anywhere. And you know what it's like when you're getting old; it's hard to keep getting up every day. So
it really is.
It'd be interesting. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm going with the Saints, mate. I'm with you on that one. So, so I think the only one we had different was the GWS Hawthorn game.
Yep, this tracks as well because we're both it's
very different on both teams.
Sleevo's Punters Club, our best bet for week 0. Mine is very simple.
Sleevo.
I love you, Sleevo. What a legend.
Sleevo.
3+ for Kerno. So Charlie, I think, up against Weeders and an inexperienced otherwise Carlton backline, I think they try to showcase the new toy. I think the Swans probably do beat us in Sydney, where they tend to kick the living crap out of Carlton. historically.
Tracks.
I think in my life, we've never beaten up there. So I'll take Curnow 3+. I think it's pretty straightforward for me that
Going to have a
looking
big
for him.
day out.
I'll showcase it. And
He'll want to do well.
Weeders is already like nursing his sore ribs from State of Origin. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. So I'll go Curnow 3+. What about you, Jez? Favorite one of the week?
I am going to go with the Suns to beat the Cats between 1 and 24 points.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think it covers the line, and I think it goes with my theory that they'll get out to a decent lead and just coast into the rest of the game and start the season off with a good win against the grand finalists. So
nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, because I feel like just the straight up win for them, it does feel like we can get a bit of a margin in there. So sneaky. I have no idea about this Cats team this year.
Odd.
Anyway, that's it. Season preview, week 0 preview of Footy Unfilterated, the first ever episode. Very good. Jez, footy's almost back.
Oh, can't wait. I'm shaking in my boots.
Really look for those tins on the couch, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
So follow us on whatever socials are still standing by the end of this week. Who knows what's going to happen, but we've basically, we face the IG, Twitter, YouTube, probably no TikTok for the minute, but make sure you subscribe on your podcast app of choice, of course, though, and get around the YouTube as well. You can see our handsome mugs doing this and yelling at you about footy each week. So, Jez, what do you want to say as parting words before the season, before your Bombers obviously stomped their way to an awesome
8-15.
Yeah.
Let's just bring it on. Let's get into the footy. Hey, go. If you're not going to go to a game, go and have a beer at your local or at a brewery. Support the independent brewers. We're both big fans of craft beer, so if you want to find somewhere nice to watch the footy, there's plenty of breweries around. I'll be trying to get to one at least once a week to watch the footy and have a couple of beers and try some things. So support those. Good fun down there, good vibes, and good luck to Carlton. Well done on the 2026 Premiership and being the greatest team of all. So
feeling pretty good. There you go then. Well, footy's back. Week 0
is back.
Here. So until next week, stay off the rubbish gear. Get on Footy Unfilterated. It's unfilterated.
It's all unfilterated.
It's footy. All right, footy's back. Catch you next week.